Dr. Weiner told you a little bit about the history of Johns Hopkins, and I have a quick story to tell you about Mary Elizabeth Garrett. Every year, the students put on a show at the medical school, and it's kind of a satire that they put on to make fun of their professors and those in administration and so forth. And there's this room in the Johns Hopkins Hospital called the Mary Elizabeth Garrett Room, and it's just for women. And for men, there's kind of this mysterious aura about it because men never go near the door, they never walk in, they don't know what's behind there. So for the student show this one year, they showed a picture or a film of one of the women students going into the lounge, and it opened up into a shopping mall. And they were all going shopping and having a girls' day out and this wonderful time. And this is in the hospital, and so they're, of course, making it out to be a mall. Then they come back in and then walk out the door, and they're in the hospital again. But anyways, I point that out because we can enjoy the history, we can embrace it, we can also have a lot of fun at Hopkins. And I think that students work very, very hard at Johns Hopkins, but they also have fun and they enjoy the relationship that they have with one another. And this is the kind of environment we're looking to instill here at PUGSOM. Now, this is the first class at Johns Hopkins, and obviously this is another history lesson because it would look a lot different today than it did back in 1897. And as a matter of fact, it's going to look a lot different here than it would at Johns Hopkins in a number of ways. I just want to point out that the dog down here is not one of the members of the first class. And I also want to point out that whether it's obvious or it's not obvious at all that there are no women in this picture, but there was at least one woman in the graduating class. It does say something about the social history, and for the first few decades, women were kind of in the background, even though they were medical school graduates. Every year, Johns Hopkins has had women in their classes, and today, you would see a very different picture, with about half of this photo of being women, the other half men. And they wouldn't be dressing like that either. Here are the academic requirements, and of course I work in admissions, and the things that we're concerned about are the students that are coming in to maintain the standards, and we do expect that it'll probably be a fairly small class. In time, we expect to grow to 100 in our class. This first year, it's likely to be much smaller, but it will be, it's quality that counts, not quantity. And we expect to have a wonderful class based on those that we have admitted so far. We are headed in the right direction, for sure. We require a science degree, honors degree, second class upper these are requirements that we have set as our standard, and a CPGA of 3.5 and better. We also will consider students from a variety of science backgrounds, and even beyond that. We're looking for students who are well prepared in any number of disciplines, as long as they have the science foundation to do well in medical school. It's possible in the United States to be a social science humanities major and to go to medical school, as long as there's some biology, chemistry, and maybe a little bit of physics in the academic program. Flexibility is what we're looking for this first year. We know that many students in Malaysia haven't had physics since SPM or STPM, so it goes back a long ways. So physics, for example, we know the preparation is a bit different here, but we also see differences in the program that show considerable strengths that we might not see in the United States. So these are things that we take into consideration when assessing applicants, and because we look at applicants on the basis of their individual merits, we are going to see variation. We're going to look at all of the factors that we feel are indicative of a success in a career in medicine. Experience. Well, we're looking for individuals that just don't have good academic records. It's not a matter of setting academic standards and making our decision on that basis. We're looking for individuals who are talented, who have life experience, who've been involved with different activities in school, whether it's athletics, art, music. We like students who've been in leadership positions. Because after all, we are looking to produce leaders in medicine. And we like to see students who are committed. They're committed to service, they're committed to humanity, they're committed to doing their very best in all areas. Student life, I referred to it before, and it's very important that we have different activities and areas in which students can be involved, whether it's volunteer work, perhaps going overseas, and there will be opportunities for students at PUGSOM to go to Johns Hopkins, as Dr. Weiner mentioned, and social activities. And everybody asks me, what's that picture below? Does anybody have an idea what that picture is below, aside from those that have seen this presentation before? Come on, somebody take a guess. What is it? Well, not to put you on the spot, but these are turtle races. Every year for the past 75 years, students at Johns Hopkins have had turtle races. And the reason why they have turtle races is at about the same time, there's a big horse race in the United States or in Baltimore called the Preakness. So it attracts a lot of attention, and so what the students have decided is, well, we're going to outdo this big horse race and have our own form of racing. So they have a turtle derby. And what's special about this is they make it into a whole festival, all day long festival where they've been planning it all year long, and they go out and they get contributions, and then the day of the turtle derby, they bring as many students who are ambulatory as they can from the Children's Center to come and participate. And they have clowns and a band, and they have a great time. This is one of many activities that they have during the course of the year. And while we may not have turtle derbies here, we will find our own form of different kinds of fun. Advising in student affairs. PUGSOM is a very student-centered academic program. The welfare of the students determines the welfare of the whole institution. So there's the college's program that works very closely, has faculty working very closely with students in regard to academic advising, meeting personal needs that students may have. Over the course of medical education, there are going to be any number of different kinds of needs that students will have. And our faculty are there to help the students, to be nurturing as much as they're going to work students hard, to strive for excellence. They will also be there to support students and to help them. Also for career counseling. All of this is a part of the college's program, and it breaks the class down into smaller units, and also students identify around that unit and do activities around that unit. Important deadline dates. Well, our application deadline date is the 31st of July. We then review applications, invite some who applied to interview, and then admissions decisions are made after the interview, and orientation for those that have been admitted begins actually on September 8th, the 8th of September, and then classes actually begin on the 19th. There's still a week of orientation, and the orientation period is intended to have students get to know one another, enable them to get to know one another, to bond, to work as a team, and this will carry over into their education. Now, this is the tuition. And in looking at this, and along with a living expense budget, it's costly. Well, that's because we feel the cost of and the value of the medical education is certainly worth this, and to have a good education, it costs quite a bit. What I can tell you, though, after you look at that figure, is I'll just move back, is that there's very generous scholarship support that's being provided by JPA. And for all Malaysian applicants to PUGSOM, we would encourage them to apply for a JPA scholarship. And while our decisions are made independent of one another, the admissions committee at the medical school has jurisdiction authority on who it admits to come into the school to learn medicine. JPA independently makes its scholarships decisions. We hope that they'll be in agreement with one another, and certainly those students that we admit, we strongly will advocate for. And we hope that it all works out for those that we admit. But I do point out that they are a separate process. So anyone that applies to PUGSOM, we would encourage them to also apply for a JPA scholarship. Why attend PUGSOM? Well, just like that small group of 13 or so students in that photo back from 1897, we expect that this initial group will be a part of transforming medicine in Malaysia. It will add a different dimension to medicine and different areas such as research and moving into different areas that may be new. And also, it'll be a part of history in the sense that this is very similar to the process that Johns Hopkins represents. It's not unusual for Hopkins to be innovators, to work towards discovery, to work towards providing excellence and leadership in medicine. And as Dr. Wiener mentioned, that is the goal that we have for here at PUGSOM. And just to leave off, one of the first physicians at Johns Hopkins who was the head of the medicine department at Hopkins, Sir William Osler, very famous doctor, has written the most seminal books about medical care that still are viewed as being the utmost and most famous works. In his quote, "The great possession of any university is its great names. It is neither the pride, pomp, or circumstance of an institution that brings honor, nor its wealth. This is what we strongly believe in. The students bring glory, and they should thrill the heart of every alumnus and every member of the faculty." So we'll leave you with that.
Well, thank you for coming, and I think the folks in the back have, all the rooms are open, right? Is that true? Our rooms are open. I think there's another information session on the undergraduate program. What time? 2:30 and 2:30 here, but in the meantime, please feel free to circulate. A number of the PUGSOM faculty are here. We'd be happy to meet you. Dr. Kumar, Dr. Avi, Dr. Rapal is here. So thank you very, very much. All right. Pretty great.